Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how we can set up a voice agent which can help recruiters pre-screen applicants for any job position. What's going to happen is over here on n8n, we will execute this workflow. So anybody that's applying for a job can fill in their name, their number, and the job application that they're applying for. That's going to trigger a Vapi call over here where we have an AI assistant set up. And this assistant is going to call them, figure out some more about their position, their experience, all of their other previous roles, etc. After the call is finished, it's going to store, we're going to store the call details over here, and where you can see the person's name, their number, the job they're applying for, a summary of the call, and the recruiter can even listen to the full audio of the call. Now this is going to save recruiters a massive amount of time, so if you build this, you can sell it to them for a substantial amount. So to get things kicked off, we need to start over here on Vapi where we actually build the voice agent. Now over here on Vapi, if you haven't used it, you're going to come up here, press create an assistant, give the assistant the name, choose blank template, and then we will create that assistant. I've given my name the AI recruiter, and down here we're going to select the provider, which is OpenAI. We're going to use GPT-4o cluster, which seems fine. And we're going to start it off by saying, hello, am I speaking with name? And this name is basically a variable in which we're going to get from n8n later on in this workflow. Now in here we have the full prompt, in which I'm going to leave below, along with a bunch of other instructions to build this out. We basically give this the role and the personality here. So as you can see, we say you are a friendly professional AI recruitment assistant conducting initial phone screenings for candidates who have applied for a job, which again is another variable which we will get from n8n. And then we say your role is to gather essential information, assess candidate suitability through a conversational interview, allow human recruiters to prioritize their follow-ups effectively. And then we give it a bunch of other instructions like how to take the call, a structure of the call, and some other stuff on how we wanted to take the call. Now I've made this prompt purposely so it's kind of able to handle any job type. So it will take the job that we give it and it will suit its questions or create its questions around that, and then it will go back and forth with the applicant based on the job type. Now down here there's a couple of other stuff that we need to configure. So voice, I'm just going to use Vapi Elliot, seems fine. Then transcriber, I'm going to come down here, select Deep Gram and Flux General English, which is this one. And then down here, the last thing we're going to need to do is we're going to scroll all the way down here to where it says messaging. And in here, we need to get a URL, in which we're going to get over in n8n later. So that's basically the full voice agent done. Now we need to come over to n8n and create the workflows. So the first one we need to do over here in n8n is create an on-form submission. And this is basically the form that the user is going to fill out. So to get that on-form submission, we're going to come up here to where it says plus, select this and look up n8n. And as you can see there, we have n8n form. Now in this form, we are going to give it the name, job application, and we are going to just give it a basic description, which says, here is the first interview opportunity where our digital assistant will call you to collect a few details to speed up the recruitment process. Then down here we have a field name, which is just called name, and it's going to be text and required. Then secondly, we have another field name, which is number plus area code, and that's going to be text, and we'll give it a basic placeholder as an example. Now we have to put in plus area code so people actually put in the area code. The reason being, Vapi expects an area code to initiate a call, so that's why we put that there. And then also we have the job role you are applying for. That's going to be a drop down with AI developer and sales agent. Now you can swap these out for whichever job roles you want, or whichever job roles the recruiter is using, and you can swap them in here, add some, take away some, do what you need. Then the second module, as the second node that we're going to use, is a HTTP request, and in this we are going to put the URL as whatever this is, API Vapi, which is essentially going to initiate a call with all of the details that we've just collected. So it's going to be a post method with this URL. Then down here, we're going to use send headers, and we're going to use the following details. So the first one is going to be name authorization, and then we're going to type in bearer and then put in our API key. Now to get this API key, we're going to pop back over here to Vapi. We're going to come over here to where it says API keys, and we're going to copy this private API key. So I'm going to come over here, press copy, bring back over to n8n, and I'm going to paste it in here. Then secondly, we have content type, which is just application JSON. So just copy all of this. And then down here, we have send body JSON using JSON. Now in here is where we are going to put in all of the details about the call, about which assistant we want to initiate the call from, what the user's number is, etc. So you're going to copy this. Again, I'll leave it below in the description with all of the instructions, but basically we're going to just copy and paste this into here, and we're going to select assistant ID, phone number ID, which we'll get from Vapi, and then down here we have the customer details, where we say here is his number, which we will get from the previous node, which is the form submission. So I'm going to submit this previous node just so we can get the details from it. So I'm going to put in my name. I'm going to put in a random number. I'm going to select job position as sales agent. I'm going to submit that. Now we have these details. As you can see over here, we have the name, number, job submission. And then we're going to come back over here and we're going to put them details into here. So as you can see here, for the number, I'm going to bring this one down here and pop that in there. And then for the name, again, use the name. And then for the job, use the job. Now, to get the assistant ID and the phone number ID for the Vapi agent that we're using, we're going to come back over here to Vapi. Firstly, get the assistant ID. So I'm going to come over here to the assistant that we created. I'm going to copy this assistant ID up here. I'm going to bring that back over to Vapi, and I'm going to jot that in there. And then for the phone number ID, again, back over to Vapi, down to where it says phone numbers, and I'm going to choose whichever phone number I'm using. So let's say I'm using this one. I'm going to select that. I'm going to come up here to press copy, and I'm going to come back over to n8n and drop that in here. Now this is ready, and if we trigger this workflow, it's now going to call the person who has filled out this form. Now with all of the details like the form and the call, I'm going to store all of them over here in a database, so a n8n inbuilt database. So in order to get that database, firstly we need to create one. So I'm going to come over here to n8n. I'm going to come over here to where it says data tables, and I'm going to create a new table. Now after we create the data table, we're going to have to put in these columns, which is name, number, job, call recording, call ID, and summary. All of these are going to be text fields. So after you create that, when you come back over here, we can search up in here data, and it's going to be data table, and in here we're going to select this as insert a new row. After we insert a new row, we're going to select the table that we just created, so it's this one right here, and then we're going to map all of these columns. So again, we get the name from the form submission, we get the number from the form submission over here, and we also get the job type from the form submission. And then the call ID is where we are going to get from this HTTP request. Now, to actually see what that looks like, I'm going to have to trigger this. Okay, so after we trigger that call, after we fill out the form, we trigger this call, you can see it outputs a bunch of details about the call that we just made. The only thing we need is this ID up here. So in order to get that, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put in all the details from the form, which we can get down here on the form submission, like the name, number, and role. And then down here in the call ID, I'm going to select this first one here, which is ID. And we're going to put that in, and we're going to store that in the table. Now, the next thing we need down here as the second workflow is for when the call finishes. So this one is going to be a webhook. So we're going to come in here, we're going to copy this webhook, and we're going to bring it back over to Vapi. We're going to go into our assistant, like I mentioned before, and we're going to scroll all the way down to where it says messaging, and we're going to put that URL into here. So now whenever a call is finished, we're going to send all the call details over to this URL. So if we come in here and we come down here to server messages, we're also going to deselect everything and only have end of call report selected. So we only trigger it when the call is over. Now, if we test this out now, I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to test this for a live workflow. So you can see this is waiting on an event. I'm going to come over here to Vapi. I'm going to talk to this assistant.
Hello, am I speaking with?
Yeah.
Hi there. This is Alex, calling about your application for the job position. Thanks so much for applying. Do you have about 10 to 15 minutes for a quick screening chat?
Yeah, sure.
Great, thank you. This is just an initial conversation to learn more about you and your interest in the role. Let's get started. First, can you walk me through your most relevant experience for this job role?
Okay, so when I end that call, if we come over here, we will see that this will trigger now in a minute. And then you can see that that has triggered. And if we click in here, we get all of the information from the call, but the only thing we want to grab is this one here, which is a summary. As you can see, it says Alex initiated a call with the user regarding the job application. blah blah blah, and basically summarizes the call. And also we want to grab the one down here. So if we scroll down here to where it says recording URL, we want to grab this as well. So after we get that information, we're going to come over here and we're going to select again. This time we're going to update a row. So we're going to update a row matching certain fields. And in here, we're going to again select the table that we are using. And we're going to say must match any condition. And we're going to say whenever the column call ID equals the call ID that we get from over here. So over here, we're going to scroll down and we're going to find the call ID. We're going to find this call ID right here. We're going to bring it over. So now we can match the table. So whenever we initiate a call, we store the call ID. And now we're searching for that call ID. So we can update the table with the call recordings, which we're going to find. Firstly, we're going to update it with the summary, which we can drag that into here. And also the call recording, which we can get somewhere down here, which is this one here. So we're going to put that call recording in here also. And now this is going to store the summary and the call recording after the call has finished. Now we're going to connect this last node, but to finish this node, we need to go over to Lovable and we need to build the app so we know where we're sending all of this information to. So over here on Lovable, you can see we have this app here, but to build that app, I'm going to come over here to the Lovable dashboard and we're going to put in a prompt like this, which again, I'll leave below for you. And it says, build a modern minimalist recruiter dashboard for reviewing AI interview results. Each applicant card should include name, phone number, job role applied for, AI call summary, a 2 to 3 line preview expandable for full text, a sleek audio player with waveform visualization. And then we say this is the data structure example that we will send over. That's going to come into play later when we are connecting it up. And then we give it some basic design styles. So when we send that over, we're going to get this result right here, which it says it has done all of the instructions that we've given it. So you can see here's the instructions and it says it has done all of that. Now, the next thing we need to do after it has completed that first set of instructions is we want to say, okay, now I want to send over the information. How we're going to say, where can I send this data, and you need to save it. So I'm going to send that over now, and it's going to go ahead and work on that. And what it should do is give us a webhook in which we can send the information off to. And also, because it needs to save all of that data so we can continue to view it on the app, it should use the backend or the new cloud in which Lovable has built in, which it will store all of that data for us. So you can see here it says, I'll set up Lovable Cloud so you can save applicant data to a database. We'll click allow. And now it's going to go and build all of that information for us so we can just send them details over here for whenever the call finishes. Okay, so it just finished that step, and as you can see, we are stuck in loading. So I've just replied back to Lovable and I've said I can't see any of the app, I'm stuck in Lovable, and I've selected the chat mode so it doesn't actually make changes, it just figures out what the issue is. And obviously when you're working with Lovable, you're going to have minor issues like this. And it says the issue is identified. I found the problem looking at your index code. Here's what's happening. The loading state initialized as true. So it's finding out what the issue is and it's finding the plan to fix it. So the simple fix is to allow a loading state to resolve after checking auth. Enable the redirect to auth page when no user is logged in. Let sign up, log in, and then access the dashboard. So for some reason it's created a sign up and a sign in page. Obviously because we're using data on the back end, so storing all of the person's details in the call recordings, you have to log in to view the details. So we're going to allow it to do this. We're going to select implement plan, and now it should allow us to sign in or to sign up, and we also should be able to send information over so we can see all of the info of the person after the call. So you can see now it just finished fixing that issue and it's given us a login page. So I'm going to click here to sign up. We're going to put in our email. Let's put in a password. We can click sign up and then we can now log in. So if we log in, now we can see that we have no applicants found matching. Now the only thing is we can add an applicant manually right here, but we don't want to do that. We want to be able to just send it over from n8n. So I'm going to say now, give me a webhook or a URL that I can send the info over to from my n8n workflow. And now that should really be our last step, and we should be able to send the data directly over from n8n so we can view it over here. Okay, so after we said give me a webhook, it has responded saying it has created this webhook. So we're going to copy this, and it says add an HTTP. It tells us what to do in n8n. So you can see it says add HTTP request node. We're going to set the method as post. We're going to use the URL above, and we're going to send over this JSON body. So let's do exactly that. So come over, add a HTTP request, which is this one. We're going to paste in this URL. We're going to select this as post, and then we are going to come over here. We're going to send the body over as JSON, and we're going to use in JSON, and we're going to come over here, back over here, and we're going to copy this, bring that over here, paste it in here, and now we are going to change all of this so we can use the previous node. So in order to use the previous nodes, we need to execute them, and as you can see here, we have all of the information that we need to use. So firstly, we have a user ID, so your user ID, which I'm not sure what it is. For the name, I'm going to cancel this out, and I'm going to put in actually the applicant's name, which we should get from the table. So let's actually go back over to the table and create some template data. So I'm going to say follow. I'm going to say number is 083045786. We're going to select job as, let's say, sales agent. Call recording we don't have. Call ID, we need to make this the same as the one from here so we can use it correctly. So I'm going to come in here, so you can see here, here's the call ID that we are using in the demo from the previous node. So I'm going to press this, and now we should be able to run this, and it should save that data. So I'm going to press execute step, and it says node executed successfully. So you can see now after we execute that step, it has saved all of this information over here. So now we can come in here and change this information to the actual information. So firstly, user ID, I think we can leave that empty for now. Let's put in the person's name here. Let's change their number and put in their phone number over here. Let's change their job, so we can use the one from over here. So we can put in the job right here. Let's change the summary to use the one from the previous node, which again is summary. And let's also change the call recording to use the one from the previous node, which is call recording. So now if we execute this step, we should, okay, so after we executed that, we got an error, so meaning Lovable hasn't set it up properly. So I'm going to send over this error, fail to insert application, invalid input syntax, user ID. So we do need a user ID. We need to put in a user ID somewhere. So I'm going to come over here to Lovable and check what the user ID is. So to get your user ID, log into your app, open browser console, and run await. Okay, so it wants us to do this to get the user ID. So if I come in here, I should be able to find the user ID in the applicants. Right in the users page, you can see it has me saved right here. So I should be able to find my user ID, which is this right here. So if we come over here to Lovable, if we come back over here to n8n and put in my user ID, I should be able to execute this step. And it says application added successfully. So if we come over here to Lovable now, and we come to view this, you can see we have all the information from n8n over here ready to use. So you can see the call that we made previously, which was this call recording.
Hello, am I speaking with?
Yeah.
So you can see we have the call recording, the call summary, the person's name, and the number that they are using. So to do a full test, we can come over here and we can trigger this form. So if I come in here I come in here and I fill out this form, so let's say Folu 0833145788 and the role as sales agent. I submit that. Okay, so after we fill out that form, it's going to trigger a call, which I'm not going to do. I'm just going to do it manually, but we need to execute this so it's waiting for the call to finish. And if we come over here, then if we initiate a call.
Hello, am I speaking with?
Yes.
Great. Hi, this is Alex calling about your application for the social media manager position. Thanks so much for applying. Do you have about 10 to 15 minutes for a quick screening chat?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. This is just an initial conversation to learn more about you and your interest in the role. Let's get started. First, can you walk me through your most relevant experience for this social media manager position? Just the highlights are fine.
Previously, I worked at Wick Ready AI, and I was the social media manager for 10 years.
Thanks for sharing that. 10 years is a solid stretch. Can you tell me a bit more about what your day-to-day looked like in that role? For example, what platforms you managed, types of campaigns you worked on, or any results you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, so we worked on an email campaign where we got a 50% reply rate, and also we worked on a LinkedIn campaign where I grew the amount of followers to 50,000.
Wow, that's really impressive. Growing LinkedIn followers.
Okay, so I'm going to end the call here just so we can see this working. So this is going to wait for the call. Now it just triggered the information, stored it in the database, and sent it over to Lovable. And if we come back over here, then we can see all of the new information on this person. We can check out what the call is like.
Hello, am I speaking with?
Yes.
Great. Hi, this is Alex calling about your application for the social media manager position. Thanks so much. This is just an initial conversation to learn more about you. And first, can you walk me through your most relevant experience for this social media?
Previously, I worked.
So you can see it saves a call summary, and we have the audio of the call. And now the recruiter can view this dashboard. And they can see all of the pre-screened applicants that have applied for this job. Now, in order to actually give this URL to applicants, we can go over here to the production URL and just give everybody access to this. So if we come over here and we put this into browser, it says problem loading form. So in order to trigger this, we actually have to turn this on to active. So if we turn this on active, then we should be able to look at this form. So you can see here, people can come in here, fill out this form, and all of that information will go through. They will get their call. After the call, it will trigger the second scenario, which will store all of the information for the recruiter. So if you like that video, make sure to leave a thumbs up. In the first link in the description, I will leave my skill community if you want to learn how to build these automations for yourself and how to sell these to clients. In the second link, I'll leave all of the instructions that you can use, but make sure to leave a like. It helps me out a lot.